Midnight.
All right, it is 9:01. It is Tuesday, August the 1st, 2017, and we are reconvening yesterday's meeting that was begun for the purpose of a 2018 fiscal year budget workshop. And with the subject we left on, we had with us Roger Ledbetter, our county engineer, and Philip Hoffman, and Christy and Carl from the auditor's office, and we were in the midst of discussing what we were going to do as far as consideration for budget purposes as to funding the road and bridge budget. And just so that we're all on the same page and to help me remember, we had discussed the fact that Roger was expecting to be able to utilize and spend the remaining $700,000 that was in our special road and bridge fund that was created this year originally to seal coat roads. We had used part of that for the purchase of equipment, and he was intending to spend the balance of that prior to fiscal year 2017 end. And in our discussions as to how we could fund his request for an additional $1.27 million in road and bridge monies for the new fiscal year, we are all aware that that will not be funded with the remaining $700,000 in the special fund, but that would have to be new monies, and those new monies would have to come either from additional tax increase or additional spending down of our fund balance. And that's where we are. Did I miss anything? So back to where we were. I think that I had expressed my opinion yesterday that there's just no way that I feel like we can raise taxes beyond where we already are. It's looking like about a 3-cent increase just to fund the additional fire protection, raises of the sheriff's office that result from the implementation of a new STEP program, and then we've had various other expenditures that will contribute to the need for that 3 cents. We're going to have additional expenses in the county attorney's office. We've got the consideration of raises for county employees if you choose to go that way, in which case we would absolutely need the 3 cents to keep up. And I'm just not sure, as much as I believe in Roger's numbers and much as I trust his plans here for a long-term improvement for our roads, I just don't know that we can, I just don't think that I can support additional tax burden beyond that 3 cents this year. And so therefore we either fund additional road and bridge monies through spending down of the fund balance, or we just postpone this a year and ask Roger to make do with the current year's budget amount of just over $2 million.
The 700 in that road and bridge fund from last year, that can't, I mean, it'll go back to the general fund, what's left, or will it be left to spend?
Well, again, you can do several different things with it. Roger's under the impression he has that available to use, and he has made plans to use it within the next 2 months. In other words, the months of August and September, he's anticipating doing a lot of work and spending up that $700,000. Now, if you tell him, halt, don't do that, and you just tell him to postpone that into next year, well, you're going to postpone a lot of that spending until the spring, summer of 2018, because his work's going to be close to coming to a halt once the new fiscal year begins October 1.
So he won't get the 500,000 plus what's left in this already on the budget for this year.
Tell me what 500,000 you're referring to.
Additional money.
Well, he's asked for 1.271 million additional funds in the new fiscal year.
Right.
There was discussion here, and I think you were thinking that we could fund that 1.2 million with the 700,000 remaining plus another 500,000. But if he spends that 700,000 in the current year, which comes all out of fund balance, that money is not available to fund his 1.27 million request for 2018.
Right. But do you give him any additional money out of fund balance, or 500,000 out of fund balance, and then let the 700 go, whatever's left, forget it?
Yeah, if he doesn't spend it, you could spend that much more down. The 500,000 would be additional monies that comes out of fund balance. We'll want to see what that fund balance is here at the end of the year before we spend that next year. I think Carl can give us a pretty accurate number, but as you'll recall, we've been riding a fund balance somewhere around just shy of $6 million for a few years, and we have agreed that we don't need that much with the completion of the loop. How much do we need to keep? Do we need to keep $3 million, $3.5 million, $4 million? If you give him that additional 500,000 out of fund balance, I think that you will have spent that down to a level that we don't need to go below. And so next year, as we're sitting here in 2018, we would be looking at his $1.2 million request and trying to figure out how we're going to fund that. There would be no more monies available in fund balance, I don't think. So then you would be looking at how am I going to achieve funding that 1.2 million in years going forward. Would you do a couple of cents of tax increase each year, perhaps for 3 years to achieve it, or I don't know what else at this time, unless we see some increases in our tax base, or unless we see success in the lawsuit with Luminate and achieve a better valuation on the plant, or unless you just see general increase in the overall county values, which I don't see anytime soon.
But that decision can be made next year, right? We have a year to.
Yeah.
I don't think we should plan on anything until next year.
Yeah. So you would say that we agree on we can't have any additional tax increase this year beyond what we've
Committed to
we've agreed to so far, which is funding fire and funding STEP program for the sheriff, which will take every bit of that 3 cents.
Fire department, sure.
And any other miscellaneous items such as John Mark's request, and still leave any room for even a nominal raise for employees.
One-time expense and then your fees for how much of it? Just the fees.
On which?
On John Mark every year.
It's only $9,000 additional, but this first year, it's gonna be, you know, a pretty good hit. But I think we can spend that this year.
You know, there's a lot of factors you have to look at here. One of the
If you'll
factors.
make sure you can be heard in there.
Y'all gonna have to get me a longer cord.
Well, I know, it's not good.
But anyway, what you're, of course, that's starting negotiations or whatever, will be August 11th on aluminum. I personally think that's going to come out better than we thought it would, because we figured 50 million is what they said they wanted it to go down to. So that we're going to get some money back because ours figured at 50 million is what we're doing. If it's 200, I think it'll be around 250, 300 million compared to what they settled with other companies. So I think there's going to be money there. I think quite a bit of money once it's settled. But it's not settled, and we don't have any guarantee when it will settle. To me, the fire department, we got to do. The sheriff's office, I think we need to do. I think it's important to get that STEP program set up. I just think it's a good program. And that takes care of that. I also worry about, would they try to change the rollback percentage? Now, they said they were going to take it up in this special session. I've heard nothing. I had to contact them.
Yes, they've reduced it. I think instead of going down to 4%, I think they agreed on 6%. So the rollback is potentially, is lower.
Okay. Well, I will not support anything that goes over that. You know what I'm talking about?
Nor will I, nor will Commissioner Riddle, I don't think.
No.
I don't think any of us wants to run the risk of a rollback election.
Well, I know Morris County did it, and everybody down there that I knew, and I know a lot of people in Morris County, and they told me that is the worst thing that ever happened. They had to lay off fire, police, a whole lot of things, hands and stuff like that. And people wished it had never happened, but it was too late. But anyway, you know, and Richard, at some point in time, of course, he's recovering from surgery and all that type of stuff, but was going to try to write some type of spec or bid deal on the courthouse. To me, that looks horrible down on the first floor down there where that chunks out of the wall and stuff. To make it look right, you got to go back in and do the whole thing and repaint the whole wall. Now, I don't know what expenses will look, but I'd like to see us get that done this next fiscal year sometime.
I don't think anybody's ever questioned the dollars, but we haven't got a plan to fix it yet. You're talking about nickels and dimes, relatively speaking.
Well, you're looking at plaster and stuff like this and painting. I don't think that would be a major expense. But I just like to see it done. It just looks horrible to me.
Well, we took $1 million last year out of the fund balances for construction or building and put it in 2017 budget, didn't we?
I think we had, if you're thinking about the annex, I think we lowered that down to $500,000.
Oh, the courtroom over there.
Which we didn't spend.
Yeah, but that's still there. You just carry it over from year to year if you don't spend it.
It will be carried over in fund balances?
Well, it was going to come out of fund balance.
Right.
It was budgeted, but it was not allocated for with tax increase. we had agreed if that was spent, in other words, we budgeted a deficit budget, knowing thinking we were going to spend more than we brought in, and we were going to make up that difference with fund balance. That's one big ticket item that we did not take out of fund balance. So will we put that back in the budget this year? Probably not.
Well, you're not going to do that courtroom?
Sure would like to sometime, but is this the time to do it?
I think that can wait. That's not a big deal. I'm telling you what, you couldn't find a parking place yesterday. Way up there.
Well, and that's with staggered docket call even, so, yeah.
I'd like to know what the rollback, and we should know that after dinner sometime.
Tell me how that affects what decision?
What your tax rate will be.
Well, but tell me how, knowing what your rollback rate would be, are you saying that you might be willing to push it up all the way up to the maximum there and exceed the 3 cents that we're talking about?
I just have to look at it and see. If they went down, which they did, it's my understanding that it's going to go down, you can get some solid numbers once you know what it is.
Carl should have that at the end of today's meeting, which is this afternoon.
Well, I've said all along, over the years, we didn't go up on taxes, but we tried to put money back in case these projects went over budget. Because the deal was, if you stay under budget, you keep that money. If you go over budget, you got to come up with the money. And that's that pass-through program that they had. It no longer exists, but we were one of the last to get in on that, and it really has worked well, because it looks like refinancing these bonds and stuff is going to be like around $3 million at the end of the payout of those bonds that the county will get. Be $3 million plus, and that would be what, 29 when it's paid off. But and what I'm thinking about is you can put. And I want to do something like this, but there's different ways, because there's things that come up that you need to get done if you can get it done. It's just like this year. This has been a horrible year to try to get anything done. Seal coating or anything else. You got to get your roads ready, then you got to get your seal coating, rock and stuff like this, and that's long-term planning. But you got to get your roads fixed this year, the roads you're going to seal coat. But if we come up here and we have a disaster hit us, a tornado, parts of the county or whatever, then I think you have to prepare for something like that. In 30 years, we've had 3 disasters hit Titus County: flooding, ice storm, and something else there. But anyway, I can't think right now. But anyway, we've had those to hit us, and we just had to borrow the money to fix stuff, because when I came in office, there was no fund balance, none. It was gone for anything. But I think you got to be flexible with money you put back, just in case there is something, but also be flexible enough you might use that money seal coating or something like this.
Tell me where you're going with this. I'm not sure.
Well, I'm just trying to throw stuff out there that say that, we need to, I would like to see some emergency money set back, some type of disaster. I'm not preparing for that at all.
would you suggest we do that? And I agree with you, but how will we do that?
Well, you can set it as an emergency fund to the side to be used.
How would you fund it? We can look at that once we know the fund balance is.
I'm saying, are we talking about this?
Wireless. There you go.
But, it just, I'd like to see the courthouse done this next year. I'd like to see some money put back for a major disaster or something like that. And you might count that fund balance to some of that, to that degree.
Repairs to the courthouse are negligible. I mean, we can do that. You're only talking about a few $1,000.
Leave that fund balance and then.
I'm saying we can cover that out of just our repair and maintenance budget. That's not an issue. What do you want to do about funding any of Roger's additional requests? In other words, we're talking about this 1.2 million. How high are you willing to take the tax rate? Let's say that the rollback comes back at 8 cents.
Well, I'm going to say
6 cents.
I'm going to say probably there's no way we can do 1.27 million. There's just no way that can be done. And depending on what we're trying to do and stuff, and I think Roger, you can have a 7-year plan, you can have a 10-year plan, you can have a 15-year plan. But and a lot of this is determined on the rollback, but I'm going to say forward 500,000. And we had to live with what we lived with every year for 30 years.
Are you suggesting we increase taxes more than 3 cents, or are you suggesting that we take it all out of fund balance?
I'm saying if we do anything, take it out of fund balance. We can't go up to that. Let me get this.
What are y'all thinking?
I said yesterday that we might take 500 out of fund balance. More I've thought about it last night, I don't know that we need to do that this year. I mean, with what we're going up, get our fund balance, if we get our fund balance down there to the bottom of where we would like to keep it, then I think we're going to be, pushing ourselves to the limit. I think we do need to look at trying to start this next year if at all possible. But as of right now, I think we ought to go with what we've got and take care of the things that are committed to right now. And I mean, we're going to catch enough flack with that. To try to go any more, I just don't think that it needs to be done all in one year. That's just my feeling, though.
Well, we sure can't do the whole 1.2 all in 1 year. So you're saying hold the road and bridge budget to the same that it is currently. In other words, just over 2 million, or are you talking about? Okay.
Yes, that's.
Tax rate, you feel like 3 cents to cover the things we've talked about is as much as you're willing to do?
That's as much as I'm willing to do.
Okay. Dane, I see you nod and feel the same way.
Yes, sir.
And I don't like doing that, but we're at that point that we've got to, and, if we didn't have what we've already committed to, then I'd say, yeah, let's jump in there and do what we can do with it. But I just don't see that we can.
What if we, let's just say that Roger spent 300,000 of that 700 he's got left. That would leave 400,000. And put that into the road and bridge. Or put 100,000, put 500,000, but we'll use whatever he's got left out of that 7.
Well, that,
And if you don't have any left, we don't put none of it in there.
I understand your logic, and that makes it sound like we are funding part of his budget for next year. We're funding part of his request of 1.2 million with, say, 400,000. But then you've taken away from him what he was planning on doing in August and September out of this year, which he's already got plans for that money, apparently.
Right.
So you're saying, well, I'm going to take that away from you, and I'm just going to give it to you next year.
No, I said it wrong.
Okay.
Let him do what he's going to do. Got his plan. And there's only 200 left when he gets through with the 700, if he don't spend it all. Then we would only add 300. We could give 300 and use the 200 that he had left over. That's a thought.
I think we probably need to leave it at his discretion if he wants to use it this year. Because that's what I've been telling me, the times I've talked to him, this whole time, is that million was put out there for the road. And I said, I'm not saying you won't get anything above what we had this past year, Roger, but I said if you run out here and spend all of that and then you don't get your $2 million next year, then that's all you're gonna have. You're just gonna have to deal with that. And that was one reason that I was a little hesitant about the equipment and all, is because, and it's like I said yesterday, I do believe that we probably needed that equipment. We can all use it, or we could have all used it. And I just think that we need to look at that as far as what we're going to do with his money. I think he needs to be able to go ahead and, if he wants to use that 700,000 between now and end of September, go for it. But understanding that his $2 million could possibly be all he gets next year.
I think that's good thinking. I mean, I'll tell you, we talk about raising it 3 cents and stuff, and since aluminum started down, we did, as Mr. Fields said, we cut back on road and bridge, and when the first time that aluminum took a cut in their value, the first time, 2012, and we took it, and so we haven't increased road and bridge. There's been no increase to take inflation, to care of any of that, and so something needs to be done. But we've increased the rate pretty healthy since aluminum started their decreasing. And I think that if we have more employees now than we had when aluminum started their downsizing. And the loss as we lose the revenue from aluminum. And it's hard to justify a tax increase when we make no attempt to reduce spending in any other areas of number of employees we have or anything. We did make a cut in the retirement, but we give $150,000-$60,000 raise just to make up for the $90,000 we got each year that year. But this is what causes a rollback election. Just keep increasing the tax rate and people get enough. Government grows and grows and grows, and people see it, and this will get us a rollback election. We keep raising taxes without making any spending cuts.
Well, you got, this county, people can say what they want to, but it's growing. 30 years ago, there were 16,000 people in the whole county. Now there's about 34,000. More cars on the road, more people coming in here, retiring here, more people, and they pay taxes. They expect to have the roads at least patched and stuff cut back. That's one thing they let me know right from the start they wanted to see. They understood we couldn't work roads every day or every year and get, but I think you have to have some type of plan, what your goals are. You don't have goals, what you'd like to see done. But it's not going to be done for nothing. When I came into office, each precinct had 10 to 12 employees. I started out with 3. And what has happened through the years, instead of gradually going up, in 1980, the budgets were $700,000 for each precinct.
The road and bridge?
Sir?
The road and bridge budget?
Yes, sir.
Road and bridge budget was
Sorry, I
$700.
misunderstood you. But it was $700,000. Then the feds come in and changed some things up, and it went down to around $400,000. So I lost $300,000 there. And just roughly figuring, if you figure, you got your calculator, Judge. If you figure 400,000, divide that into 15. That's 15,000 a mile.
$400,000.
$400,000, 15,000 a mile. What would that be? How many miles of road could you do?
27.
26.6 is what I get.
Okay.
Well, we've had the budget cut discussion in the past, and I remember some of your suggestions were, eliminating the DPS secretary, eliminating John Mark Coburn's investigator, eliminating the business manager, cutting the retirement. What else was there?
Veterans Service Officer.
Veterans officer.
That's it.
Are you still going to
I recommend we,
attempt to do those things?
yeah, except not the retirement.
I don't think you'll have the support to eliminate those other positions. I certainly won't. Okay, well, what I'm hearing then is we've got a couple of guys down here that don't want to fund anything additional for the new road and bridge budget for next year. And I'm hearing y'all being willing to consider pulling some money, say up to $500,000 out of fund balance to give additional funding to road and bridge. I'm hearing everybody's pretty well in agreement. Commissioner Riddle and Applewhite and Parker are saying 3 cents is as much of a tax increase as I can stomach this year. And I'm not sure where you stand on that one, but I'm kind of hearing that you're certainly not going to exceed the rollback, and I'm going to guess the rollback's going to be about 5 cents, is my guess. So maybe we wait until we find out what the rollback rate is, we find out where we sit with our fund balance, and that will help us determine how much we're willing to fund additionally, if any, on the road and bridge budget. Anything else to discuss on the road and bridge budget? Is there anybody that questions his request for an additional $1.271 million? Do you believe in this plan? Do you think it's too aggressive? Do you think it's not aggressive enough? I'm sure Rob wants to know that. If if we tell him, we believe in this, we just can't start it yet, that's one thing. If we want him to sharpen his pencil and not be as aggressive, we need to tell him that too. But I believe he's done what we've asked him to do, and that is, hey, if you want me to make a difference in this county, here's what I have to do, and that's a 15-year cycle, which is more than he would like for it to be, but considering some roads will need it more than 15 years, some will need it less. He says it evens it out, seals about 28 miles a year on a 15-year cycle basis. Is that too aggressive, or do you all like his plan here?
I like the plan, but I think it is too aggressive. He needs to get a lot of things in shape and a lot of work to get to that point. I'm not sure, and I think that I really believe that he should involve the commissioners on the priorities. I think he should get a little direction from us, which roads we think that he should spend this plan on instead of just a blanket plan. Because there's some things that, like I said yesterday, and I know that 1905 over there to White Oak, to Sulphur River, that'd be terrible. It's terrible. I know there's chug holes, and he says unsafe, but you can take a motor grader and do that without, I don't know how much money he spent on hauling limestone in there, but a lot. Not limestone, fly ash. But I think of those roads instantly when the first time I found out about that. I think about that Honeycutt Ranch out there. That would be a terrible. One person lives out there, and to spend money and their roads, like I said, they're bad. It's a one-lane road, gets holes in it, and so we took the motor grader, and I haven't been on that Boseco Ranch down there, but we took a motor grader and some of that wrap, and it's pretty decent. It's a farm road. It's a ranch road. It's not and I don't know, when you start putting the mileage to it and not taking all that in consideration, I think it's too aggressive. But I like the plan. I like the plan a lot. The fact that we've got something to work with and somebody.
Do you sense that Roger doesn't want any direction? I certainly don't sense that. What I have sensed so far is a willingness to turn it over to him. You deal with the people that call and figure it out to the best of your ability. I think that Roger would be happy to tell you what he thinks needs to be done and have you tell him differently if you're not in agreement with that. I have no reason to think he wouldn't do that.
I think I request that we have an executive session to discuss personnel with Roger and us, the Commissioners Court.
Okay.
At the earliest time, because there's some things that I think we need to discuss with Roger about some things, and some ideas I've got, or some thoughts that I have, and I think we need to discuss that, but I think it involves personnel, and it should be a private, I think, if I understand the rules, we should have
We can do that at the next meeting in 2 weeks, have that at the end of the agenda.
any time.
You saying talking to personnel, what are you talking about?
Talking about the personnel, how he's using the personnel, what he does, and about the,
I don't think we can go in there and tell him how to use that personnel. I'm just saying, he's in control of it.
well, he's asked for a raise on one employee. I'm not sure that shouldn't be discussed in a personnel.
Where has he asked for a raise? In these numbers here?
Right.
Yes.
That's what I was thinking. I'm asking yesterday about other wages yesterday.
Going from $692 to $699?
$7,322 difference.
I never heard him say anything about that. What is that for? Is that just for a single individual?
Right, that's why I asked him yesterday, is that for the whole bunch or just one person?
Okay, so that's not what he's asking for the whole crew.
No.
I looked at that and I thought, well, that sure is small.
Right.
Okay. Well, I'll be glad to put that on the agenda if y'all want to do that, and can you not tell him what to do? I think you can certainly tell him what to do.
I need to look it up and read it again.
Read again.
I don't have a
You
problem.
certainly have the freedom to tell him. I mean, you're still the boss.
That's right.
And you've empowered him, but if you feel like it's a matter of how much management over him do I want to provide? There's certainly nothing wrong with you doing that. But is that is that the way that you want to go about it?
I just don't
That's for
want
y'all to decide.
do something to get us in trouble or something. Just make sure it's okay. That's all
It's
I'm
okay.
saying.
It is okay. You can micromanage him all four of you can be out there in his office every day if you want to.
Going back to what Al was talking about a while ago about input, he called me one day last week and he said, didn't you tell me that you had some priority roads that you were working on or going to work on this year? And I said, yeah, I did. I said, I think I give you the list of it. He said, well, I can't find it. He said, can you get me another copy of it? And I said, yeah, I'm at the office. I'll get a copy of it here out of my file and bring it to you. And I had a list made up of what I was going to do with that $250,000, my part of the million. I had a list made up of the ones that I was going to have prioritized and was going to work on this year and get ready to start seal coat next year, is what I had done. And I just pulled that list out, and then I got a copy of my roads. I took one rainy day, I told the guys, I said, okay, here's what we're going to do today. I said, I want y'all to go to each road. I want to check the culvert. I want to know what condition they're in. I want to know what if there's any bad places in the roads that we need to do something to. I want to know that. And I said, when y'all get that back to me, then I'm going to take it and I'm going to ride the roads and I'm going to do the same thing. And then we're going to compare them and see what we've got. And this is the list that we come up with. And I carried it to him last week, and he said, that's what I'm needing right there. So that's what, the way it's gone with me with him. And the way he talked to me, they were going to start working on some of the stuff that I had there. They were going to go look at it. I said, Roger, don't just take my word for it. Go look at them and see if and I had 2 or 3 more that I had noticed since then that I added to the list. I said, these that are written in, your handwritten in, are not, on the copy. I said, there's some that I've come up with since you have took over and whatnot, while I'm still, because I still ride my roads, I still look at them, I still, talk to people, I still return phone calls when they call and things like that. But I think he is looking for some guidance, and I think he would accept it, from any one of us.
I agree with you, but I also think that if each of you were to give him a list similar to what you've got, that doesn't obligate him to start working on that road.
No, and that's what
I think,
I told you.
but it helps him at least to have, these are the top 50, 40%, 30% worst roads. This is where I rather than looking at 430 miles, I need to look at 200 miles. And then if he looks at each of your lists and decides, well, thank you very much, based on this overall view that I've got and the budget money that I've got, I'm going to spend 70% of it in precinct 3, and I'm going to spend 10% of it in the rest of you. Then I don't think you can say, well, he didn't listen to me. I gave him my list and he didn't listen to me. No, I think he did, but I think that in his job of countywide evaluation, he determined that this is where the work needed to be.
And that's what I told him. I said, I told him that, I said, my concern, Roger, is that I know you've got a lot of work to do in some of the other precincts. And I said, my roads are fairly decent. I said, they're not where I want them to be, but they're fairly decent. And I said, but I don't want them to get, you using the money in the other precincts, I don't want mine to get like them just because you're trying to get them up to par. And he said, I understand that. And he said, I'm not going to do that. He said, I'm going to try to get what I can get and do what I can do with what I've got. And that's what, what I'm planning on doing. And I said, well, I just, I said, and that's been a lot of the concerns with my constituents is that, well, he's going to jump out here in these other precincts, and use all the money out there. And I said, I tried to tell every one of them that I don't think he's going to, but, that's in his hands. If he does, he does.
Well, our employees, my ex-employees, they're thinking that. Said, see, I told you, we told you we ain't spending no money in my precinct 1. I mean, that's their complaint. They feel that way. And so I think that I tell him, well, he's got the call. He's got to draw the line. Yeah, I don't agree with him. You know what I mean? That we're spending all of our time. We don't work on our precinct at all. We're in 3 and 4. You know what I mean? Just that's their complaint. But I think that I really believe that that's the reason we need to have a executive session about personnel. I think that these things should be discussed with Roger because I think there's a need there. It just to hear his side of the story. You give him the responsibility, we should give him the authority to do it, to handle the job.
Well, I know in April I gave him my list of all my roads, all the culverts, check every culvert. It takes about 5-6 weeks to just check everything and write down what roads that either 1, 2, 3, or 4, one needing fixed immediately or reworked this coming year, and others evaluate them. But anyway, Philip, I talked to him just the other day, and he said we had one more road that we were looking at, and I told him what the road was. And of course, those people are hollering at me nearly every day. I always encourage people to call Roger, and I said, don't be mad or get ugly to him, but talk to him and let him know you got problems out there and that this needs fixing. And I said, He'll get you on the list and get you, but I said, you also got to understand, we've had a wet year. Where in the past, usually in June, we can work, do a lot of work, but there wasn't a lot of work you could do at this June, because every time you turned around, it was wet, digging out soft spots and things like that. But one thing I'd like to do, I'm going to talk to Tim about this, but my roads are the trashiest I have ever seen them. They're terrible. Trash everywhere.
I seen where they picked up a lot of trash somewhere yesterday.
Oh, did the sheriff's department?
19 bags
Well,
within
we may
quarter
need
of a mile.
to talk to Tim, see if we can get that on a regular schedule, picking up trash. Roads I've never had trash problems with, there's trash everywhere.
I don't see XC trash for the grass.
Yeah.
Do what?
Can't see
I
the
don't trash for the grass.
Well, it's blowing up in the, caught on fences and trees and sacks of it
You know,
thrown out.
he's talking about liability on
I
that.
pick it all up that I can get.
You're talking about liability on that road over there. You know, we've got a lot of liability on these corners and stuff to get this grass cut off. Somebody's going to collision with somebody, that's going to be a liability. You know, that road over there, like I said yesterday, there's not a Titus County resident live on that road. And the one that drive it, they either hunt over there or they wanted to cut the road. Well, my opinion is they need to go around. You know, that road didn't need to have all that flex base put on it. Because if it comes a good flood this fall, that stuff's gone. It won't stay on there. You know, I said something to him. I said, "You sure you're going to do this?" I said, "That road's a waste. Well, it's too much liability." Well, you know, this fall, next summer, you're going to be digging all that fly ash out of the bottom, come put it back on the road. I said, you know, he just kept saying it was a liability. I said, all he made it was faster if somebody throw junk out or, you know, run drugs across that county line. You know, made them faster.
You
Like
talk
our-
about,
that set road to go to Cuthand over there, from Green Hill, Iron Bridge Road.
well, I had about $35,000-$40,000 worth of ash over there, and it all went
Yes,
there,
yeah.
my understanding.
Yeah. Well, there was 3 precincts that got all their fly ash was gone. And you know, that's been a lot of ground that you could have made roads base was really good with that fly ash. You could put a lot of road, you know, the base on it to get it started.
Did he discuss that with anybody? Not to my knowledge. He just started.
All I was told was, he said, I don't want any stockpiles and stuff. I want it
He wants
all
everything gone.
Yeah, that was the only statement he made to me was, I don't want anything stockpiled. Said if people see stuff stockpiled, they want to know why you're not doing something.
So that's where he did.
That's state.
Okay?
Because I just told him that, and the next thing I knew, I said, call the guys, we calling flex base or over to that road. I said,
And not only were they hauling from the yard, they was hauling from the plant out there
yeah.
Yeah.
with the big truck. And some were little.
That's 2.5 miles of road that, like I said, you know, we need to talk to state representative, get it off our books.
Well, it was a resolution passed in the court in 2001 to make that a farm to market, and then extended 2348, and then 4,000 to create a new. And those it was 2099 or 2000 somewhere in there. But they are resolutions, and they did make those future farm to market road. That is a future farm to market road. That's the only one we got left.
Because you go over there, like in the wet times, them kids in the 4-wheel drive just go and tear it up, just mudding out there. Then you see trash from Upshur County or Red River County come over being thrown over here, you know.
Well, this is information you can certainly share with him in open court when he gives you his report.
Well,
He just said-
if we can, I'd rather go into executive session.
Well, like I said, you know,
That's the reason, I was even reluctant yesterday about getting into the mechanic conversation in an open meeting like we got. I really would like to have those kind of meetings I really think we should. I don't know what the rules are, but
got to,
I mean, I didn't hear anything sensitive yesterday. You know, we're talking about funding positions, but I will put a agenda item on August 14th, executive session, to discuss personnel matters. But I don't think you ought to discuss road preferences on a precinct by precinct basis in executive session.
No.
I agree.
Have that, because people want to hear that. You know, what's
What's
he
the right-
planning, what's my commissioner recommending, and what's he going to do with their recommendation? And then he can
But-
say,
you know, and we all, through the years, have helped each other and always been there for each other. If you needed help, you called me and I'll come. Most of us are kind of feel like we can get it done ourselves, but, you know, there's times we need help and we sure don't mind helping each
Well,
other.
a lot of that, Michael's, and this is just me thinking and talking to, you know, my guys, is that a lot of that was done when we were seal coat. Everybody jumped in and worked on, you know, go to precinct 1 today and tomorrow and then jump over to precinct 2
We
the
spent
next
2
day.
weeks in each precinct. It took us, we'd start in July and go to September the 1st, and that's when we'd shut her down. And we could do up to 2 miles, for sure, 3 miles a day seal coat, but everything was organized and everybody knew what to do.
That's what my guys have told me that, you know, that always happened. And they said after we quit seal coating, everybody just kind of went off on their own and you know, done their
If
own
you got
thing.
in mind and needed, say, I didn't have but one backhoe.
Yeah.
I might call Thomas to come over to get on one side of the creek and us on the
Yeah.
other side, but that's something we did all the time. But it's, you know, it's just one of those things that you try to, what really killed us is when the oil prices took
Oh, yeah.
off. It just killed us. We just did have enough money to do the basics, just keeping them patched and stuff cut back. And as far as reworking the road, cut down from, we were redoing 15 miles of road a year. Tried to seal coat 15 miles of road a year in each precinct. That's 60 miles.
And you prioritize them, I'm assuming that the ones that, you know, were the heaviest travel.
Well, every year, you're supposed to evaluate every road.
Yeah.
You know, those forms I sent you.
I even made me up a new one. It's similar to that one, but I got on the computer, made me up a new one and
Well, that was suggested by the state of Texas to use those forms, and that's.
well, I give Roger a copy of that one that had the stuff on it and one that didn't.
Well, I know in '92, I took over West New Hope and all that back up in there, and I replaced every culvert up there. It took 5 years. I couldn't do it all at one time.
Yeah.
And that's what Roger needs to understand. You're not going to get everything done in a very short period of time. You've got to organize. That's the key to everything. And everybody help each other.
Yeah, I think Roger, he's beginning to see what we had and all, but he's still got a lot of the state mentality of, you know, I gotta get out there and do all of this and spend every bit of my money or I'm gonna lose it. And,
That's a lot of work for $700,000 to do that.
That's state.
yeah,
Spend it on. Well, if I think
Unless
he
he goes
knows
stockpile.
anything left, he can carry over. Because we had to carry stuff over to buy equipment.
yeah. Yeah, you know, he's got in his deal here about cost of replacement of current equipment. Is 3.45 million. 10-year replacement plan is 3.45, and then 15-year plan is 230. And, you know, the way I got it, he is looking at that on top of this. And he told me the other day, he said, if you got any questions about any of that, let me know. And I hadn't gone out there and talked to him about that,
No, he's got a $230,000 line item there for equipment in his budget.
oh, okay, I do see it then. 230, yeah, I didn't miss that.
Judge, good chance I'd like to copy of that. I can't find mine anywhere. I'm getting where I can't remember where I put stuff. I got it.
I lost-
Don't know where it's at.
I lost it. I lost that bid on the roof nail this morning. Ag building on my
I'll
tip.
budget y'all with secretary.
I forget where she's at.
Forget what office she's in.
Where is she? Where did we put her?
Oh, Lord.
I called that Jacob Hefner and told him. I said, I ain't signed that to you. I hadn't give that to you where I signed it to replace some screws. He said, well, where is it? I said, I can't find it. Then I found it. I got a copy of that, but I think he's going to do it now, ain't he?
I can't find it anywhere. I have looked for that. I know, and I'll find it after I get this one.
Yeah, well, I
I'll
found
find it somewhere.
I found it. I said, I'll call you back. Well, there's 3 screws that goes on them shoes. I didn't have any idea. One of them has a cap on it. And it covers that neoprene mortar all the way. And the one that hardens.
Do y'all get much interaction time with him? And do we need to make a plan to get more?
I mean, I've gone by out there several times and just talked to him about, about some stuff, and I've probably, since April, I've probably met with him probably 4 or 5 times. He'd call me and ask me a question about something, and I'd say, well, I'll just run by in the morning and talk to you, or, something other like that. As far as really just sitting down and talking about anything, last week was really the only time that I've done that about, my precinct. And I've called him several times and told him, people call me and I'd give them his number, and I'd say, I'll call him, but y'all be sure to call him too. And then I'd wait a while and then call him and say, Roger, did you talk to so-and-so? No, I ain't talked to them. Well, here's their complaint. I told them to call you, but if they're not going to, then, I want you to be aware of it. And that's the only interaction really that I've had with him, is just stuff like that.
But he's available if you need to talk to him.
Yeah.
He's available in person or over the phone.
Never has told me that.
So we don't have a problem with him being available for you to share your
I hadn't had
concerns.
I haven't had that, no.
All right, so
My situation is exactly like Jimmy described.
That's what I do is, I started writing down roads that I've got complaints on and stuff, and I give to him, but that's just for me to check if I need to call back, or if somebody else calls, I say, well, I've already talked to them about this. That's not for anybody else, that's for me.
Yeah.
Well, I take all the calls. I mean, I haven't given him his number at all. I take the calls and I
Well, I give him his number.
I call him.
I have given him his number too, and that's what he told me to do. He said, because I asked him, I said,
what he told
you have
me
me
he
problem
took-
me giving them your number? And he said, no. He said, I want to know when something's going on. And I said, well, some instances, I told one guy the other day, I said, here's the engineer's number. You call him? He said, I ain't calling him. And I said, that's fine, I'll take care of it. So I called him and told him about it. They were out there the next day taking care of it. So,
I had a guy call, and I told him, I said, now, I'm going to call him, it'll be later today, but if you would call him, he said, I'm not calling him. I didn't vote for him to be engineer, I voted for you to be commissioner. and you're supposed to take care of that. I said, okay, I'll call him. You get all kinds, I'm telling you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, I've told Carolyn to put an executive session to discuss personnel on the August 14th agenda. Is there anything right now we want to discuss further on road and bridge? Okay.
That's 14th, isn't it, Judge?
Yes, sir. Yeah, 2 weeks from yesterday.
I thought you said the 4th. The reason I was looking, I thought it was
I might have.
Friday.
I might have. No, I didn't mean it if I said it. Okay. All right, so on his, I'm just looking over his budget here. On his wages, just, am I understanding this right? On his other wages, is that everybody but him?
Right.
Right? Mm-hmm. And his salary is 80,000. Why was I thinking it was 90? It's only 80?
Right.
Okay. And then the 223, that was the previous 4 commissioner salaries, is that right?
I think so.
Yes.
I mean, what else could that be? That would have to be that. But the 692 is, that would be all road hands from all 4 precincts. Not counting himself, but it would include Philip Hoffman.
I don't know where you come up with 223. I'm showing 228.64. That's what I'm showing on the commissioners, 4 commissioner salary.
How much?
I'm showing 228.64. He's showing 223.
228,000 or 220?
220,864.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's got to be what that is. Okay, so Carl has pulled all salaries out of there, put it under road and bridge. So now, what is left in y'all's budgets besides your pay? Anything?
Travel
Travel.
and schooling. That's it.
But it would only relate to you. There's there's not any
No.
road expenses or anything else like that. It's just going to be salary and benefits left in
And
yours.
the travel,
So we've got to pay,
mileage.
another thing I hadn't thought about, we've got to pay his salary and benefits are really in addition to the new budget over where we were last year. Now, I hadn't heard from any of y'all about salaries. My assumption is y'all are planning on leaving your salaries alone. If that's any different, obviously tell me. Whether you'll get any flack over that, I guess time will tell. Anybody planning on anything different there?
I think we should reduce our salaries.
Well, I know how you feel. Just so I'm prepared and y'all are prepared, what will you say when somebody challenges you on that? I think it would be good if you've got a position that you be prepared to explain your position and what your current and future plans are there. I just think don't be caught off guard there.
Well, I get up and go to work every day just like I used to. And I check 1/4 of my roads every week. I used to check half my roads a week. I cut way back on checking roads. And I stop and talk. I get to talk to more people than I've ever talked to. I visited with them and the roads and stuff. And it's hard to stop when people are chewing on you all the time. I have never been, and they don't really start after me till I start trying to help the situation, and then some of them just get plumb mad. I'm telling you who it was. Mary Summerlin called me yesterday, and she started in on me. I said, now, wait a minute. She said, I nearly hit a hole. I said, well, I'm sorry about that, but
Why is that your
she said,
fault?
well, somebody needs to get out here and get this grass cut. I said, well, I can call Roger and let him know, and I think they're cutting on them, but now we've had a lot of rain and stuff like this. She said, it needs to be cut. It's 6 foot high out here. And I imagine it is. But I do know they're cutting. But I can't tell them when they're going to be there and this and that and so forth. But
What's y'all's position on this? Leave it, let it ride?
I feel like, the way I feel like on it is, I'm, like Mike said he would, I get up every day and I go to the office and return phone calls if there's any phone calls, and I feel like that I turn my 4 guys over to him, but I still got him to oversee plus the stuff that I'm doing. And there's not a day go by that I don't have somebody call or go see somebody or have to come up here, or, you know, I'm actually, and two, on top of that, he has called me and asked me to help him if I could run the tractor for him or something, whatever. So if I'm gonna start doing that, I certainly don't want my salary cut.
I know last Thursday at 4 o'clock in the morning, I got a call because the alarm system went off. So I get up and go to the shop, electricity. I don't know what happened. I never did. I told Philip to call Bowie Cass and get them out there. I don't know if a breaker kicked that. Those inside breakers were okay. There wasn't any electricity anywhere in that shop. So,
Well, I think any county that's dealt with this transaction has dealt with this subject, and I honestly don't know what they have done. I know it hasn't happened anything overnight. I think it was a gradual decrease there in Upshur County. That's really the only one that I know anything about.
Well, it hasn't decreased a whole lot. Because I've got the figures on it. I didn't got them with me today, but I've got the figures on it. It's
On what specifically? On what?
On Commissioner's salary.
In Upshur County? I thought it had gone down significantly. I thought they were
According to their budget, it's online. And I ain't got it with me. I had
well, I was told they were at like 24,000 now.
No.
No?
It's 40, it's either 44 or 48 is what the budget shows.
Their current budget shows that much?
I thought that was left.
That must be include some other things. It's 30,000.
30,000
Yeah.
in Upshur County?
Yeah, but not the benefits, not
well,
the,
let me tell you, we're not Upshur County. They got 200 miles of gravel road. They told me, or I was told, that they seal coated for $4,000 a mile, and that's not true. Also, I talked to a guy about a month ago, works for Tabor out there, picks up trash. He said he goes to Upshur County, and he goes to Titus County in different areas, but he said Titus County's roads are 4 times better than Upshur County. Now, that's what the guy told me.
Well, I have no idea what guys that will be newly interested in this job will do. You know, the only one I've talked to that I even know that's interested in running is Eddie Parrott, and I'm not sure he's interested in making any adjustments.
I know
I guess the voters will decide
Perry
what they're
said
calling.
that he was going to run in the future, but he said, I'm not cutting my salary. Work for the city.
Yeah. What's reasonable, Commissioner Riddle, in your opinion, for a county this size with the roads with the road miles we've got?
I got it myself. Let's go.
I'm open. We're one of the highest paid counties there is, salary-wise, for a county our size.
You go look at these other counties and see how many bridges they got built and see how many loop projects they've got finished. There's more than just out there working. You got hands that can do the work, but you still have to have supervision. But it's what you do here and how you deal with people. I usually have 20, 25 calls a day. Half the stuff don't even pertain. A lady called me that lived over there on the new 2348 road, wanting to know what do I do to get a culvert put in and this and that. And I said, well, you're on the FM road, you'll have to call the state. This is the number. I'm dealing with stuff like that nearly every day, and just not one or call or two. Sometimes I get 5, 6 of those type calls, not counting other calls dealing with county business. I want somebody in office that's going to work to make this a better county and go take care of business. And that means trying to get money in here. Right now, one of the most important things to me to get done in this county, and it needs to be done, and we got to start pushing it. And I know we've pushed it for years, but widening that college road needs to be done. The money's there, the money right away, it needs to be done.
It's on their schedule.
Yeah, they've got it on schedule.
Well, I know it's on the schedule, but they're talking about 2020, 21.
21.
I don't see that you're gonna escalate it any quicker. I think we missed our opportunity last year. That's a shame.
Well,
I'm gonna instruct Carl to leave the salaries alone. There may be discussion, but obviously if 3 of y'all are planning on that, I'm not gonna do anything differently. And if that's all that's in your budget, I don't know if there's anything else to discuss on Commissioner's budget. We've talked about the net data issue with the county attorney. We've talked about the change there to the JP offices. Maintenance barn, I'm not sure exactly where we've left that, other than, and Dana, I really appreciate you being willing to talk to Gary about this and get some kind of plan going forward. That's probably another subject that should be discussed on August 14th during the executive session. If there's going to be any changes there made in the budget, we need to make them quickly. If we're going to fund additional money or a raise for him or for somebody else or for a second maintenance man or part-times, we need to know that now or soon. We will have to have 2 tax hearings and 1 budget hearing sometime in late August or September. As you will recall, even if you don't go up to the rollback rate, just the fact that you are exceeding the effective rate, which we will, we'll have to have those hearings. So remember that. We did not have to have those last year, but we will this year. What about raises county-wide? We certainly need to discuss that. Commissioner Riddle, I'll start with you because I figure you'll be on one end of the spectrum of the discussion.
Well, we're giving increase to the sheriff.
Yep.
That's 50% of the employees.
And he understands that step program implementation, there will not be raises over and above that for the employees affected by that.
Right.
I do think there would be the expectation of some raises for his staff that's not affected by that, but I don't think that's more than a handful of people. So that should be the bulk of it there for the sheriff. I mean, that should be it for the sheriff's office. So that leaves non-sheriff personnel to consider.
I think you looked at 4 or 5 people.
I think there were 6. It's either 6 or 7.
Yeah.
I think that you should give a small cost of living, but of course, I disagree with the fact that we don't try to eliminate some of the job. We don't ask some of the departments to try to reduce their expenses 2% or 5% or something without.
Actually, I'm continually posing that question to them. And I feel like I've got a pretty good handle on every department in this county, with the exception of the sheriff, who I'm not even going to attempt to evaluate whether or not I think they can cut any people. But every other county department, I've got a good handle on. I don't know of any excess that we've got here. You know, I had this discussion with Judy Cook. That was, you know, she's got an employee retiring. That was the only one I saw any opportunity in, and she explained to me why she did not need to reduce personnel and why she needed to replace that position. It would be at a lower wage, but she has made some personnel changes as far as within her two departments, but as far as reducing the net number of head count, she says no. Now, we can force her, and we can implement a freeze, but I just don't know of any departments where they can do without less people.
The thing that I looked at was all of the sheets that they turned back in. There wasn't but just one or two of them that was asking for anything above and beyond a possible, something for their employee. That was really all they were wanting, was something for their employees, and most all of them just left their budget as is. So that's one thing that I would.
Well, I think the department heads are expecting you to do whatever for them that you would do for their employees. That's what I picked up. And some of them requested a specific percentage amount, but
yeah,
they certainly included themselves in that. But the point he's making is, yeah, he would support a nominal raise, but he's saying, what positions can we cut out of here? I don't know of any.
Well, human nature is they're not going to say that. I mean, it's going to have to be something, they're going to give you that answer. If I was running a department, I'd give you that answer too. Because the only reason I'd give you that answer, I got to say, well, why hadn't you already done it? You know what I mean? If you could do without it. But, so I don't.
Did you ever reduce personnel in your road crew?
No.
Okay. Well, I'm sure they would use that as an argument. Well, you didn't do it, and if I'm telling you that I can't do it, I expect you to believe me. So I don't know how you challenge them on that, unless you just say, by golly, I don't believe you, I'm gonna reduce your budget.
Let me call you back.
It'd have to be an overall freeze as far as I'm concerned, without, maybe that should be a way to go.
I think that freeze could cripple certain departments. For example, John Mark Coburn, who lost a gal a month ago, you take away one of those people out of his office, he's got real problems.
Well, in private business, that happens, and it happens some departments you can't do without a person, but they get together and work on those. There's always exceptions, and I've done it many times in my career to make cuts. I got to cut the cost about 3% or 4%, whatever. I have to. My revenue's down. I have to cut the cost. So, and there's always exceptions, as you say. Two people, how you going to do with it? 50% of them will lose one. But that's just somebody has to take the responsibility to make that call.
Are there any departments that you see we ought to push?
I wouldn't want to pick one of them out.
I don't either.
It'll have to be an overall.
Talking about a cost of living increase, you want to quantify that percentage, dollar amount, you know, we've done it both ways.
Nominal 2%, I would, if I had to.
Isn't that what we did last year, too?
To those people, not the sheriff's department. Not the
Anybody else got thoughts on that?
Well, as far as personnel in this county, we have less workers today than we did 30 years ago. There's always been. You can go back and check, 1987. But we cut out of different offices where they could get by. Computers is the reason we were able to cut some and stuff. But we also now have twice as many people as we did 30 years ago. That means these girls are having to do more and more work. Technology has helped them be able to keep up. If it wasn't for technology, we'd have a lot more people working here. But you go to every office, just go in there and watch them for a day and see what they do. And those people, very few places I go that I don't see people working all the time. I'm talking about up here at the courthouse and at the jail. Those people are always seem like they got everything really organized. The ladies, most of them are ladies, do a good job. And we have less people working for the county now than we did then.
You don't have less people working for the county than you did 5 years ago. You got more people working for the county than you did.
Yeah, but we cut way back there, back in 1987, and 88, and 89, that was cut way back.
I don't know.
It was hurting departments because they couldn't get stuff done.
Other than the sheriff's office, what department do we have an additional employee? I'm trying to think, over 5 years ago.
We have one less in the county clerk's office now than we did 5 years ago.
You got more on the insurance policy.
Sir?
We got more on the insurance policy. On where they come from.
Well,
Most of the
may
add-ons
be
are down
in
here at the jail. for
Yeah, they
the
may be in
jailers.
the jail, that would be
I
my guess.
have to lay them off.
I mean, I've been through every department in my head, and there's not one more person. In fact, but most of them are the same people as when I started. So if there's a net increase, it's in the jail or sheriff's office.
That's where it's always been. You know, we kept prisoners there one time. We had a bunch of jailers that was paying for itself.
What would y'all suggest for raises?
I kind of had 2% in my head, is what I had.
2% is all right with me.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
But now, I agree with what Al said now. That's not for the sheriff's department. We got that step up stuff, so that's took care of.
Only ones that I would say in the sheriff's department would be his non-step, non-certified.
Right.
And I'm going to say that Tim said the other day they were like
6, 7, all right.
I was thinking it was 5.
I should have done this about a month ago, but I held off until now. The janitorial position that started first of the year, in my opinion, is, you know, I brought him in at less than he should have been paid, but I had to prove that he could do it. In my opinion, he warrants better than that amount, and that he's really behind the ball at the $11.50 that he's making, I think, is his wage. And I'm talking about David. Any consideration there for,
What was our name?
I think, oh boy, I'll have to find that out. I can find that out real quick.
What was
Well,
He was asking what was Ernie making.
He's been here over 6 months. To me, he should have got a raise after that 6 months.
I'm telling you, he's a heck of a lot more than a janitor. He is absolutely responsible. I'm highly impressed with him.
Well, that's my point.
Him and Al came out to the shop the other day, and shoot, man, he didn't back up from anything. He jumped up there and got that stuff off, and
He don't back up from anything that I've
he
seen.
does. I don't think you need to wait till
Well,
October.
he's been on the
Judge. I think
roof with every building in the county, he's
Didn't have to
removed
wait
trash
after
off the
6
roofs. He's identified repair and maintenance problems that I didn't know about that needed to be fixed, so he's got an eye, and he's busy all the time.
I try to tell him every time I see him, he's doing a good job.
Judge, I'm telling you right now, I don't think we need to wait till October. I think there's money in the budget for that. That needs to
Okay,
go.
I will submit that in the form of a budget, of a payroll adjustment request, but I'd like some guidance from y'all. I want to make sure I'm not the only one that feels this way, and I need you all's approval to do that. I won't go through the public process of this, I'll just submit a request. I was thinking about going from 1150 to 13 is what I was thinking.
I don't have a problem with
I
that.
would, or 1350, he's,
1350.
it would be,
One,
What was Ernie making?
let me find that out.
he's on, I don't know what he's been, I said, just a waste of time.
I don't ever see him, he's not doing something.
Oh, and if he's not, he's got an idea, he's got a plan.
I've been very impressed.
Doing less, and he's lying and doing all
I can't hardly believe
He's
it.
always thinking.
I said, why'd you take this job? You could do a lot more than that. He said, I need to.
He's always doing something. He's not.
That's all he ever said.
He'll shake the hand,
You know,
shake the hand.
and I said, but
Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
that's true. A lot of them whine, go get in line, and get food stamps. He's unbelievable. I mean, just,
Yes,
he
sir.
don't bother.
He called me one day, he said, "Can you go out there and watch the match?" I did.
He's a good
We got a couple of weeks, I got to,
But then that's, that's like John Young and people like
I
that.
watched him brought him back, you know.
oh, yeah,
And
John
like
Young.
Judy's got people over there in her office.
But for 1150,
She lost some of them and retraining and getting somebody back.
Oh, she should have 3 months.
Sometimes you got to pay people more than keep them if they pay for
Well,
themselves.
I'd say that's where I fall out with a lot. The government
He's justified.
stuff. I believe in that, but we don't have that flexibility to pay somebody. You know, we can't have the wide range between 14, 15, just like some of those guys.
That's
at
the reason
county.
I wanted to do a pay scale for county hands. My kind of plan.
Well, I know that, but just like that other guy, everybody's worried about that black guy making $14. We got some people that work on the road, me included, that should be making $15 an hour. We also got some that probably should be making $24 an hour, you know what I mean? But we don't have that flexibility here. That's what my little,
We pay less on the road hands because of the benefit package, and you get to be at home. You can make all kinds of money, but you got to hit the road.
well, yeah, and besides that, we get paid every 7 days, 5 days a week. They don't miss a day, a week for rain and
Yeah.
ice, they don't miss a day. But we pay, I think that overall, we're paid fairly, you know what I mean? I think it's a good pay. It's a
But
good
I guarantee
pay,
you,
kind of
they can go,
benefit.
like, when they was building that bridge and all those people come up here working on that bridge, I guarantee they make $35 an hour. But you don't have the benefits, you don't have to, being off on the weekend, being with your family, you gotta look at all that.
There's
I work for less to be with my family than I would going off and making a bunch of money.
no work on that.
You know, live
Out
once.
on the seat.
First thing you know, you blink your eyes, your kids are.
He's been
Yeah,
here 30
you
something years.
stand there looking at it.
He was here 30 something years. 40.
30, well, he left and then came back or something like that. That's where he was when he left.
I would like to do $14 an hour.
I wouldn't object. too. He's a,
Okay with that?
I'm okay with that.
Well, that's more than I was thinking, but I'll take guidance from you.
Well, he's a
Because like I said, he's
pays for
asset.
If we had done something in 3 months and then again in 6 months,
He pays for his
I'd
set.
have been a little
Oh,
reluctant.
hell,
But since
what
we hadn't done anything.
little things that he
job
showed me.
I said go for it.
We had-
Never see him stand around. He'll say,
And I think that means.
shake your hand.
Effect as soon as
I'll put a request in immediately.
We have there's just things that I can't even start to tell you, but I don't know whether I should tell you, like the hinges broke on the glass door on the east side of the building, so we ordered a better hinge, a hallway hinge, it cost $50 more.
At the annex?
No, the election office on this east side.
Oh, yeah.
Those
Good.
hinges, one of them broke, and to replace them.
Which glass company did you end up going with?
That one,
Was one of the glass companies doing that?
yes, Taylor, well, he hadn't done it yet, they had to order that hinge. Instead of putting them back, it was like, Brown was $380, $385 or something to put the hinges back like they were, and Taylor put a whole hinge on there, so we'll do it again for $400, or $450. So I took the $450. And that was, but I had to order the hinge.
Okay. Tomorrow, I'm just going to throw this out as a suggestion that maybe we meet one more time with Carl in the morning. He will have had his meeting today with the appraisal district to get a feel for what the rollback rate is, what the effective rate is. I think that's good information for you to know so that there's no surprises. And then we can share some of this other information that we've talked about today with him. Are you all available tomorrow morning, 9, 10?
Sooner the better for me. 9 okay with you? 9 okay. We're at 9 o'clock.
Better for me, because I'm left with Dallas back in Boyd.
What time?
I said 9 would probably be good for me, because I'm gonna have to go to Dallas. It's probably gonna be late tomorrow
We
afternoon.
can meet at 8:30.
Huh?
That'll help any. It's
No,
gonna be hard.
It'll probably be late tomorrow afternoon before I go. After Jared gets off
I'm
work,
with
but
you.
I just say,
9 o'clock, okay?
Yeah.
Tomorrow? Do you, has Brad Watson from Luminant talked to you? Does he tell you he's coming at 11 o'clock tomorrow?
No.
Okay.
Now, I have not talked to him about when he was coming, but you want me to be here?
Well, he specifically mentioned you because he's had the relationship with you.
We have had
He
close
wants to
relationship.
discuss the park, but he also wants to discuss what's going on with the lawsuit. I have no idea what information he's going to share with us.
Okay.
That's at 11, so if we
I'd
meet
like
at
to be
9,
here.
we might be done, and then you'd have to come back up here.
Well, now, I told that Anthony Park that his last day would be August 31st. And he's, okay.
Well, I don't know what we can ask Brad, what's his
Well,
name, take over?
I'm gonna get all the keys and stuff that last day. I'm telling you, that park drives me nuts.
Well, he may end up replacing all the locks anyway.
That's fine, but I'm gonna give them
Well, you're
all the
about to be
keys.
done with it. About to be done with
And
it.
James has been going out there 2 or 3 times a week. Depending if we have a holiday, he'll go out there that day and then the next day. The thing fills up pretty quick, but, that 31st will be it, and everything will go with it, except, we're gonna have probably around $10,000 left that money it made this year, so that can go into general county. Carl can probably tell you better. But everything stays there. Bathrooms, picnic tables, but all that stuff. It's a package deal.
All right, well, we can inform the others after we meet with him tomorrow.
Okay.
But unless there's anything else to discuss today, it's 10:40 on August 1, and we are going to recess budget discussion workshop until 9 a.m. on August 2nd, 2017. So we are recessed.